Beyond the gates, spoilers tease that Jacob is already standing on the edge of something dangerous the moment he decides to confront Grayson. Not slowly, not cautiously, just straight into it, because he believes his cover might already be gone. In Jacob's mind, the mistake happened inside the hospital elevator when the transaction was done quickly and quietly, but not quiet enough. A small moment that now echoes loudly in his thoughts. Jacob had worked carefully for days, gaining Wren's trust little by little, pretending to be someone who belonged in that shadowy network dealing in stolen plasma. Wren finally trusted him enough to let him pick up a delivery personally. That was the first step of Jacob's plan. Infiltrate the illegal plasma trafficking ring from the inside, gather proof, expose everyone behind it. For a while, everything looked smooth. Too smooth, maybe. The kind of smooth that makes a man uneasy even when things are technically going right. Then Jacob saw the courier, Grayson. It happened in seconds, but it felt longer to Jacob, the moment their eyes almost met while the exchange took place. Jacob took the package, said almost nothing, just like the others had instructed, keep it fast, keep it silent. Yet his heart kicked hard in his chest because he knew that face. Grayson, a man who shouldn't have been here, not involved in this kind of thing. Or maybe Jacob simply wished that was true. The recognition hit Jacob like cold water. If he recognized Grayson, then the reverse could also happen. Maybe Grayson had already recognized him and just stayed silent in the elevator, watching him carefully, waiting for the right moment to report him. That thought kept spinning in Jacob's mind as he walked away with the package. His plan had only just begun, and already it might collapse. Jacob didn't wait long. He decided that if Grayson truly recognized him, then silence would only make things worse. If the truth was going to come out, then better he control the moment. So he called. Fast decision, maybe reckless, but Jacob knew delay could kill everything. The phone rang, and every second made Jacob imagine different outcomes. Grayson answering coldly, accusing him, or worse, someone else picking up. Finally, the line connected, and Jacob spoke first before hesitation could creep in. His voice low but firm, warning Grayson without explaining too much. He told him that whatever he thought he saw today needed to stay quiet. Jacob hinted that revealing his identity would cause consequences for both of them. He didn't threaten exactly, not directly, but the meaning hung there between words. But the strange part came quickly. Grayson sounded confused. At first, he didn't understand what Jacob was talking about. He asked who this was. That moment changed everything inside Jacob's head, because suddenly, Jacob realized something uncomfortable. Maybe Grayson hadn't recognized him in the elevator at all. Maybe the entire fear was built on Jacob's own assumption. When Jacob mentioned the delivery, Grayson finally understood. Only then did Grayson connect the voice with the person who had just received the package. The realization traveled slowly across the phone line, and Jacob could almost hear it forming in Grayson's mind. So maybe Jacob had guessed wrong. Maybe Grayson really hadn't known. That meant Jacob had just exposed himself earlier than necessary, a mistake, a risk taken too early, but it was too late to reverse it now. The conversation had begun, and the truth hovered between them. Jacob's mind moved quickly, trying to adjust. If Grayson didn't recognize him before, then he would soon. More exchanges would come, more meetings perhaps. Eventually, the truth would surface. The only path forward now was persuasion. Jacob needed Grayson on his side. Jacob's voice hardened a little as he explained pieces of the situation without revealing everything. He told Grayson that the people running the plasma operation were dangerous, that anyone involved was already in deep trouble whether they realized it or not. If Grayson exposed him, the entire situation would explode and no one would escape the fallout. Jacob said he was trying to dismantle the network from inside. Not loudly, not proudly, just blunt words delivered quickly because time mattered. He needed cooperation, silence at the very least. Without that, the whole operation would collapse into nothing. On the other side, Grayson stayed quiet for several seconds. The kind of silence that feels heavier than words. He had not expected that phone call. In his mind, the delivery earlier had been just another routine task in a series of questionable errands he forced himself to complete. But now, someone was calling him directly about it. Someone claiming to be working against the organization. Fear slipped in quietly. Grayson wondered if he had already been exposed, if the group he worked under would somehow learn about this conversation. Jacob sensed the hesitation and pressed harder. He reminded Grayson of the man everyone in the network feared, the one people whispered about, the one known as the Butcher. A name spoken quietly because everyone knew what happened to those who crossed him. Jacob described the cruelty without needing graphic details. Grayson had already seen it himself. A patient once arrived, broken, tortured before being dumped at the hospital like discarded trash. The man died not long after. The memory of that case never left Grayson. It proved how far the organization would go to protect itself. That reminder changed the tone of the conversation. Grayson knew Jacob was right about one thing. If he exposed Jacob publicly, it wouldn't simply end with Jacob's arrest or removal. The leaders would ask questions about how Jacob entered the system in the first place. They would trace every connection, every courier, every conversation. Grayson himself could easily become disposable evidence. The Butcher didn't tolerate weak links. So slowly Grayson calmed himself. He thought through the possibilities. If Jacob was lying, then cooperating would be dangerous. If Jacob was telling the truth, then exposing him would be even worse. Grayson chose the path that bought time. He agreed to keep quiet. Not enthusiastically, not with full trust, but enough to prevent immediate disaster. He told Jacob he wouldn't reveal anything for now. The mission could continue. For Jacob, it felt like stepping away from the edge of a cliff, but only by half a step. Temporary safety, nothing more. Because trust between them was fragile and incomplete. Jacob had just gambled his entire infiltration on a man who might still change his mind tomorrow. Still, it was the only move available. Without Grayson, the operation would stop before reaching the people truly responsible. Meanwhile, another shadow hovered above everything: Leah. The name carried quiet authority within the network, though few understood exactly how high her influence reached. From what Jacob observed, she seemed to be the one giving instructions to Grayson. The pattern of deliveries, the timing, the specific hospital locations, all of it connected somehow to Leah's orders. Yet Grayson never openly confirmed that to Jacob. He held that detail back carefully. Grayson had reasons for silence, complicated reasons tied to something deeply personal. Leah had drawn him into this world long before Jacob ever appeared. She knew something about Grayson that he could not risk losing control over. His mother, sick, fragile, trapped in a situation that required expensive treatment and complicated care. Leah possessed information and connections related to that situation. Exactly how she obtained them remained unclear, but she used them skillfully. She understood Grayson's desperation, a son willing to do almost anything if it meant saving his mother's life. That leverage was enough. Leah approached him quietly months ago with an offer disguised as help. She spoke calmly, promised that cooperation would ensure certain medical arrangements remained possible. Grayson knew the tasks she asked for were questionable. Transporting medical supplies that bypassed official channels, signing documents that hid real origins. Eventually it became obvious the blood shipments were illegal, plasma taken from vulnerable people then resold through underground buyers. But by that point, Grayson already felt trapped. Refusing Leah meant losing access to information about his mother's treatment, possibly worse, so he obeyed. Delivery after delivery, each one eating at his conscience but also reminding him of the hospital room where his mother waited, fragile, breathing through machines that required constant care. Grayson convinced himself it was temporary, just until she recovered, just until he found another way. Yet the months stretched longer. Jacob didn't know the entire story yet. He only sensed pieces of it through Grayson's hesitation and guarded responses. But even those fragments were valuable, because if Leah truly controlled part of the network, then she might be the bridge leading toward the Butcher himself. Jacob needed proof, though, something stronger than suspicion. That meant he had to keep talking to Grayson, keep nudging him toward the truth without pushing too hard. After the phone call ended, Jacob sat alone for a long moment, staring at nothing in particular. The package from the elevator lay on the table beside him. Evidence, maybe? Or just another step in a chain leading somewhere darker? His infiltration had survived the first serious threat, but the path ahead looked even more dangerous now, because if Leah noticed any unusual behavior from Grayson, the consequences would spread quickly. Grayson, meanwhile, felt the weight of that conversation long after the call ended. He replayed Jacob's words again and again, the idea that someone inside the operation wanted to destroy it. That possibility stirred something inside him, a small sense of relief mixed with fear. If the network collapsed, maybe he could escape too. But escape wasn't simple. Leah still held power over his situation. And the Butcher existed somewhere above them all, like a silent executioner waiting for mistakes. Days would pass with careful communication between Jacob and Grayson, brief exchanges coded in ordinary language. Each conversation building a fragile understanding. Jacob probing for details about shipments, about who approved them, about where the plasma truly originated. Grayson answering some questions while avoiding others. Slowly, the outline of the organization began to appear. Not complete yet, but clearer. Still, the danger never disappeared. At any moment, Leah might sense hesitation in Grayson's work. A delayed message, a misplaced delivery, something small enough to raise suspicion. If that happened, both Jacob and Grayson would find themselves in immediate danger. The butcher's reputation was not exaggerated. Grayson had seen proof with his own eyes. The tortured patient, the silent hospital corridor afterward. No official report explaining the injuries properly. Just quiet removal of the body and whispers among the staff. Jacob understood that risk too. Every step deeper into the network meant less room for mistakes. Yet stopping now would allow the trafficking to continue. People exploited, blood stolen, lives damaged quietly behind hospital walls. That thought hardened Jacob's resolve. For the moment, his safety seemed stable thanks to Grayson's decision. But stability inside such a dangerous system never lasted long. Leah remained watchful somewhere above them, pulling strings with calm confidence. And if she ever discovered that Grayson and Jacob were speaking privately, exchanging pieces of truth behind her back, the fragile balance would shatter instantly. So the game continued in uneasy silence, Jacob pushing forward carefully, Grayson walking a narrow line between obedience and quiet rebellion, both men aware that one wrong step could bring the butcher's attention crashing down on them. And if that happened, there would be no easy escape. Their only hope was that the truth would be revealed before the network realized someone inside was slowly tearing it apart from within.